Hello, I'm Simon Jeffrey.
I'm Edward Frizzell.
Not really,
Not
it's the other way
really.
around. You are watching the commentary for Gateau. But not just Gateau. What is the subtitle of this? A second slice?
A second slice of Gateau.
Yeah.
It's sort of our revisiting and extending the film.
Yes, and here it is in its, let's call it the 2011 edit form.
To allow room for further edits in the future.
The inevitable re-release of the 2009 version. But no, it's generally the same up to now. So should we just go on as if it is a movie in itself now,
Yeah.
rather than all this bit's different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can comment along the way.
Okay. I love that font, by the way. It's painful, but I like that it's painful.
Well, I like the idea of like each time we do a film to kind of find a font for that film,
Yeah.
because I saw so many films at uni where it was like default Final Cut font,
Yeah.
or you know.
We went for a bit of a Nintendo 64 look there, didn't we?
Yeah, we wanted it to be decidedly retro, I think, and a kind of, it's set in 99, I don't know, we just had sort of nice memories of the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I that was one of the things that made me love the project, the fact that it was set in 1999. A time I was alive.
I remember it vividly.
I don't remember it vividly.
Well.
I remember large portions
Those years
of it.
were a blur to you.
I remember, large portions of it.
Yeah.
And I can remember times there, but it's nice to think, oh, I'm back.
The
I remember it better now.
This is my garden, where my father lives, my stepmom, which recently I learned was runner-up in the best gardens competition in Bedfordshire.
Wow.
They got a second prize.
That's amazing. I mean, when we really shot it.
we showed it to its best.
Yes, I remember filming this and sticking my very new camera at the time out the window. And I had a harness around me to stop it falling.
I was hanging on to a piece of, albeit probably quite flimsy, twine that was fastened around some beams within the house. So if I'd fallen, I'd have taken the house with me.
Or just broken your back.
I'd have probably pulled my arm off because it was, I think, tied in a loop around my wrist.
Still got that bass guitar, really.
No, that was when my room was a general dumping ground for everyone else's stuff.
11:38 there, a reference to George Lucas.
Lucas film featuring that same number.
Yes.
I remember the very moment this idea was born on a visit. I think visit back from the shop. We decided to walk to the shop to try and think of ideas. And on the way back, I just said, right, I'm just going to say first thing that comes into my head. And I was like, okay, we play burglars. And you were like, yeah. And it's New Year. It's like, I love it.
I remember just being like, I did love it, but I was kind of like, I know me saying I love it will push you further.
That's how it works a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a bit of glamour shots.
Always gets plenty of whooping from the crowds. Carl Becker, a long-time collaborator of ours.
He's been doing stuff with us for a long time, hasn't he?
Ever since 2003. And the music by Jub.
No, this is The Measure.
Yeah, of course it is.
Jub is the first
They do a track now, that's the one that is.
yeah.
And the Measure do most of the music.
We really struck gold with that, didn't we?
Well, they made the mistake of saying, yeah, you can use the music.
Well, they'd just split up, I seem to remember, and they just finished an album.
No issues from there on then about
Well.
legalities. You see the calendar there subtly invoking the period.
Mm.
Now, from my earlier films where I featured running, I quite legitimately received mocking comments about my effeminate running, so I went for a decidedly. I sort of terminated my character.
Robotic runs.
Very kind of rigid arm movements.
I still think that cat works well. I love that.
It was the idea of setting out this kind of seemingly slick operation that turned out to be hideously badly planned. And he's the ideal
Oh,
pawn.
that's gorgeous.
The ideal pawn for this man's plan. Like, it's hard to imagine what he had planned until I came along.
Mark Sheppard, who's done a few things now, hasn't he? He's
Star of Santa's Psychiatrist.
yes, and after this, The Big Rivalry and It's Genius. I don't know what else he done. I think that's it. I think, but I mean, that role originally was Dave Bass, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're going to sort of readdress the film and hope to clarify. The ending, I think, was the thing I got most comments about. Was sort of not sure what happened, so I thought, well, we can go back and maybe make it clear, maybe add a bit more to it. And then it came to the idea, well, if we're adding stuff or redoing stuff, it doesn't necessarily need to be the same person playing it.
Well, I think at the time it was quite complicated to get Dave back. I mean, he was off being on TV at the time, wasn't he?
Big, up and coming star.
Yeah.
And they sort of wanted to get it done at a certain time.
Yeah. But hey, it's. I think it's brilliant in the way that you get the same character with two different performances essentially within the same film.
I love this sort of split focus shot here. Just sort of,
is this an effect, or is it? Am I just walking that quickly?
no, you were like we filmed it thinking we might have to do some effects to kind of, but no, you just did it, and I love the guitar. Sort of comedy background acting.
I remember, it was scenes like this where it was just you and me, and
so relaxed.
Yeah,
to shoot. Just such an
there
enjoyable.
For hours into the evening, just
I don't know what
we had a free house.
I don't know what the situation was. Yeah, but there was no one in the house for about a fortnight, and it was one of the many holidays my family went on and didn't invite me. So I was like, well, it's fine. We'll film a film that uses all of the rooms of the house, which would have been harder to do with people there. Also, we couldn't have been up all night, I don't think, without causing
disruptions.
The newspaper, I think, is folded over carefully to not see the date wrong and then not showing any particular article.
This divides opinion, this scene, doesn't it?
I fought for this. And I really just wanted to see you on the toilet.
Like you do.
Well, yeah. This line, it's got completely polarising reactions from different audiences. Some just chuckle just ridiculously. It's really off the wall kind of comments. My dad watched it and just sort of a bemused look on his face. I think it was too surreal for him.
Some debutantes here. I think Anna, Kirsty, Chris and Stephen all were new to the.
Did you say debutante?
Yes.
Is that what the word?
Is it not?
I don't know. It can be.
I don't know. I would say we'll have a phone in, but I don't think I can't. I love the lighting in that shot of Mark. It's got a wonderful backlight on it.
It shares the common theme with Big Rivalry, in which Zepp also appears, of having a open air restaurant scene. Which I've not been to that many open air restaurants, but I do like the idea of them. I like the idea.
They work in both films, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the weather.
Of course,
often,
Hazel there as well.
I think the weather often stops it from being possible, but
I think this is a film debut.
Showing appropriate disgust, licking his lips.
Of course, Zepp and Natalie, Mark and Lauren, who's also in the scene.
She's a waitress.
Actually, had recently worked on The Big Rivalry, so it was quite handy having these actors just transfer over to this film very briefly.
It was a lot easier to get them, I think, because like the excitement of the big rivalry was still fresh in their mind.
Yeah.
They want us to do more of that, so this is a way of saying, well, it's not quite the same, but yeah. I love the kind of sort of stillness of these shots. It's almost like a sitcom in a way. It's like, you can imagine there being no wall on the other side.
This was the first scene.
Yeah,
shot,
I'm not sure I got the character in this scene.
Well, I don't think I got Freddy right here either.
You're meant to see that he's got a square of the toilet roll in his hand there.
Just cut off by the border, isn't it?
Below the shot, but it's meant to be like, oh, he's taken a square of it because he thinks it's so soft. I did a sort of joke that didn't quite make it, but it was sort of like he was impressed by the luxury quality of their toilet roll.
Silk tiger,
I think my character's sort of a little bit of an idiot, like just a bit.
I can remember justifying this when I wrote up about it. I remember saying it was to do with Sean feeling bad about wasting time, so he has a bit of a dig at
it's sort
Freddy.
of like realised that he's been wasting time, so he turns it around a little bit. But it's just that kind of a well,
ARD case for the long time fans.
For Carl Beckett.
Basically.
He's our only long time fan. The rest deserted us.
I don't know if he can be considered a fan. Does he appreciate what? No, to be fair, at the premiere, he was very appreciative. He enjoyed both films.
It was great to see him. And these very.
I love the high angles.
The house has got huge, like high ceilings. We thought, well, let's use them.
That's a great idea.
Stick something in there and like sticks a camera up there. We used to like sat on top of the wardrobe or something.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Built-in wardrobe.
Trying to keep it as steady as I could. Like
it did well. It looked like a tripod shot.
This is written in the script exactly like this, and
it came to the day. We never questioned it. It said he opens the box, and there are various photos, including a photo of Martin Hales in a policeman's outfit.
And it made the film.
I think we knew such a photo existed, so we planned it in advance. But Martin Hales is a previous actor who'd been in Agents of Destruction and its sequel.
And an old school friend.
My dad kind of chuckled because he realised that while he'd been on holiday, I was going through his wardrobe and chucking his clothes about. It's that kind of awkwardness when you show them the film and it's like,
oh, by the way,
we've been rooting through your wardrobes while you've been gone. I love the kind of the bizarre physics of that, where he's apparently chucked the jacket down the hall. I wanted to do a point of view shot as it flew down the hall. He's thrown it about 20 metres.
Could have had one, couldn't it? I think you get closer to Sean in this scene.
The early scene, he just seemed a bit cocky, like just sending Freddy off to go and do the work while I.
Yeah.
But.
I like that shot as well for some reason.
So tracking perfectly followed. Do you want to explain the name of the jewel?
The jewel is named after, I think, we had a discussion, didn't we? Who was our favourite Bond girl, or who was...
We're like, it should be named after, like, the name should be, because we always do this, we always like, well, any chance where we're coming up with a name or a number or something, it has to be some kind of in-joke or reference, and we're like, well, it should be a Bond girl, like, who's your favourite Bond girl, like, actress, and we're like, Mariam Dabo.
Yeah.
So, bless you, Mariam. You are honoured with a priceless jewel of your heart.
I think the term priceless is...
priceless, not worthless. Talk us through this, Ed.
This scene...
You put that jacket on and all hell breaks
loose. I can't remember, did I request a dancing scene?
You were very adamant that you wanted to dance, and I was like, I am with you on that.
I think it still works in the context of the film. It's Freddy's little... I'm just going to... He's starting to enjoy himself.
I love the idea that these sort of... It's like the first scene says, like, when you burst in and you're rushing and chucking everything in your bag. Rushing, that was the Russian. And I come and say, there's no rush.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up. There's no rush.
Yeah.
That's why you're kind of just...
It's kind of a climax to the first half of the film
as
well.
Feel-good burglary. There's no rush to it whatsoever. In some ways, that's not an ideal recipe for a film. But we are now to introduce some disequilibrium to the proceedings.
Yes.
I've been to film school. Oh dear. I was always.
But the tone of the film changes very much now.
Quite nicely set up though. It just seems like a sort of a leisurely, just a very English leisurely rainy day film. You know.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's ever sort of guns a-blazing, but it's kind of like just nice.
No one's really the victim. You know,
and it's
when
always
you get
like
to meet the
really,
victim.
really clean and kind
Yeah.
of like. I'm starting to think a lot more about, you know, what should be in the shots.
Yeah.
I do like the staticness. I mean, it was sort of mandatory, I think, in a way, because it was just us doing it. But I like the effect it adds of kind of.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we could have done false camera movements on it afterwards, but
I like
I'm
it.
glad
And
it
we could have just
doesn't.
done it like on singles with the other person operating. But I wanted to get proper double act going where you were both on screen.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember there was a few shots where we were like, we both agreed without even talking. Like we were just sort of, this shot should be done in one go.
Yeah.
Where we might have otherwise done it as, you know, several cutaways or whatever.
Mm.
Now, I'm not quite sure how that ended up. I don't know why the cake's on the floor, but I think we came up with the title before and then had to work Gateau into it.
But it's a quirky feature that kind of.
I love it.
Yeah.
I remember making that because I had Victoria sponge, but it wasn't.
It's not really a Gateau,
It wasn't
is it?
3 layers, so I had to sort of cut it half.
Is
like,
that
through the
what
middle.
makes it a Gateau? 3 layers?
No, it just wasn't tall enough. I wanted it to be a bit taller. I'm not quite sure
Right.
what makes it a Gateau. But then I used an apple corer to bore the hole through.
I remember thinking that was very good.
I loved it. It was like really crisp and like silly in a really silly way, and I loved it.
This scene has a lot of stuttering and
I love the look of this shot on the landing here.
makes the landing look very epic.
It looks very long.
Yeah.
You know, like
There's a nice dark end and a light end. It's very.
it's a
It
nice,
looks nice.
clean picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't we want to pat ourselves on the back too much. Love that look. It's like you've been up all night on caffeine.
I think Hazel saw that and she's like, what's wrong with your face?
It was that look
Yeah.
I'm about to die.
Yeah.
You're so kind of confused as to whether it's a good idea to answer the door or not. And we were trying to justify it ourselves because I was like, why do they answer the door if they're robbing the house?
They have to have a
shouldn't.
reason.
But it's because we assume that whoever it is has heard the shot. And it's more suspicious if you don't answer the door, I suppose.
Yes.
Got quite chunky sideburns in the film. I don't know if we thought that was a more kind of 90s look.
From both of us, really, isn't it?
And stylized facial hair. I remember growing the handlebars down a little bit further than I usually do.
Daniel North, nice return from him.
I think Daniel gives one of his finest performances in this.
Yes.
Yeah, understated, but really quite believable.
Am I right in thinking this is his last performance? He hasn't done anything since, has he? It's a shame, but we'd have to get him back into
He's
it.
sort of off pursuing a proper career.
Yeah.
You know, like nano
Physics.
which, God willing, when we're all still making Gateau 4 in the future, he'll probably be developing groundbreaking new technology.
And be very rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, who was it who said, who was in the duvet? Was it Dave?
I think it might have been Dave, yeah.
That sort of made me feel quite pleased, because it's not anyone. Should we say that? It's not, no one's in the duvet.
No.
It's a prosthetic arm that's protruding from the top, because I don't think I'd be strong enough to hold someone. I think that was my consideration.
Mm.
I don't know how he managed to be so silent.
I just like the fact that Sean thinks now's a good time to bring the body down.
He knows there's someone at the door. Right, you go and answer the door, I'll bring the body down so they can see. I think I like the fact that it was so kind of... We almost sort of went through like a list of like black comedy cliches in a way. Like,
Yeah.
But quite willingly, I kind of like the idea that this very kind of farcical, this back and forth bit with the policeman, and I love the bit of keeping the door shut as well. Just it's so kind of basic.
Well, but it's a layer of tension
Yeah,
to add
so-
on to the scene. So
Am I right in thinking like this police character was in it, and then we sort of went back and put the Reginald character, even in the original version, when there wasn't much of a kind of background villain behind it all. Until the very end, when it was like on the phone to him.
yeah.
Then we went back and put him in a bit earlier on with the original scene, which was in the pool.
Mm.
But I think that we did that in a way, I think, or at least the way I saw it, was because it took some of the blame off these characters, made them more sort of just clueless, and therefore, because I always struggled a little bit with the kind of the guilty victim in the film, that sort of morally speaking, you know, that Carl's character is essentially an innocent dead man. But I like sort of taking the
Can I
weight
just say I love that look
love
in
it.
the mirror. Yes.
It's, I love his. Can I have a glass of water? And someone said, who was it? Someone said, you know, policemen would never use their phone, would never come in, would never ask for water. But I loved that fact, because they always do in these sort of films. They're always like, you don't mind if I come and have a look around when there's a body there.
Well, I think it's supposed to play on the fact that
Christmas market as well.
could you feasibly be thinking, is he actually a policeman?
Well, yeah, I mean, I never had it in mind either way. I like to think he was a policeman, but whether he was sent there on a Gateau tip-off or anything, I don't know.
I don't suppose it would make sense for Reginald to send someone to stop unless he planned to swoop in straight away afterwards. But
Now, why does Freddie offer him Gateau?
I think
Well, a
he's
guilty moment. It's a nervous moment where,
yes.
like when you agreed to do something because you didn't. There was an awkward silence or something. I love that kind of. It goes into like a really long explanation. Sean's just stood there going, "What are you talking about? Get out!" Obviously, he's meant to be holding the door closed.
Bye.
I love the detail we went to, like just the kind of little touches that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but then it immediately thinks of Christmas. I remember having to go out and searching for the Christmas decorations to go and get that wreath,
Of course,
that wreath
yeah.
for the door. But then you don't even notice it necessarily, but it must register subconsciously that it's around Christmas. Because we've got like the hanging decorations and everything, and the Christmas tree when I first come in as well. I think we did quite a decent job of kind of selling it as New Year. What month was it? It was just summer, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it got bright relatively early, didn't it?
Yeah, that was the problem with some of the night shoots, is they wouldn't stay night all that long. Then we wouldn't wake up. Then we'd get to about 7 o'clock and we'd both be depressed.
Yeah.
It's that kind of.
Look at that sky. I love it.
Someone say like, oh, there wouldn't be birds on or something, but
Yeah.
that sound was on the tape. And so was it just early morning maybe? But I've heard birds late at night. It's only meant to be like 10 o'clock. Why people always complaining?
I remember this scene was really, that looks nice, I like that.
Quite proud of yourself.
Well, no, I just think just remembering bits and kind of like, did well.
I do. I love it. It's the only place like out in the country where two robbers could feasibly just go and hang out in the garden without worrying about being seen.
I think Carl did well there, having his head drop. Douche.
I was like, "You alright, Carl?" Yeah, that's fine. Do you want me to do it again? That's okay, Carl.
Do you want me to land face first?
I'll crack my skull open if you need me to. Do you need the sound? No. I love the sort of the lining up with like it looks like you're slitting.
Of course, originally you wanted this to be quite a bloodthirsty ripping apart of limbs.
I think,
didn't
well,
you?
it was very early on. I think it was before we'd kind of fully established the tone of the film. But I was kind of, I was thinking it more black than it turned out to be, like the tone of it. But just in that kind of, just seeing it start to, I wouldn't want to show the whole thing, but just maybe like it just going in. But I'm glad it didn't. I think I was probably still in zombie film mode.
And hat over the surround sound speaker at the back, so So you don't know what date it is?
Or would they be an anachronism? Would they give away the era?
Yeah.
My reaction to his enthusiasm. Oh.
Well, I do that in the original,
You
don't
can see he's planting the seeds there. Yeah, we can do it. I had to recreate that prop, like copying the original, because we didn't have that by that point. I think I did quite a decent. Again, Sean coming off as slightly patronising in an annoying way, but then he does see him as, he does definitely see himself as like the leader, whereas I don't think he's any more intelligent than Freddie. I think a lot of the time he ends up doing embarrassing things because he's more confident about it.
Yeah. I think was this the one scene we had to dub? And that was just because there was rain on the umbrella that was balanced on top of the camera.
You can't see it's raining there, can you?
No.
I think it's only spitted a bit, but it was just, you can really hear it when it's on an umbrella. But it's not too bad.
No.
I had to really try and add some weight to this corpse. I just love the idea that they can't figure out why the body won't fit, and then you realise that he's had a huge set of golf clubs in there. And they just sort of fold him in.
This bit coming up's a bit grim, isn't it?
Who said I hate that bit? Was it Hazel?
I think it's Hazel.
I hate the bit, it's horrible.
Well,
I was like, that's
is.
exactly right though. It is, and it's perfect. I love that it's so effective in that way. It's like they're so oblivious. Give me the hand. Yeah, I'll give it a good slam. Really oblivious.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh. I remember we thought for ages about who the person's finger could be in this line.
Oh, yes.
We thought about 1999, Brian Blessed would be pretty big.
Would you?
Well, as big as he's ever been.
Don't know if
He's
particularly
awesome.
that year. I love Brian Blessing.
He must have been in a lot of stuff.
Check that in.
Yeah, chuck the finger, because you can't leave evidence behind. Is it Sophia? Is
I
it
believe,
Sophia?
yeah.
It's coming to sort of adding a second layer of intrigue.
This was one of the most fun things about returning to Gateau, was doing this bit coming up.
Adding a second layer of jam to the sponge.
You can leave now.
As we get to the cake metaphor. Watching the fireworks at New Year. Again, tying in with the time of
yes.
year and
What season we're at. Fantastic.
It's when it starts to get a bit more, there's conniving going on. You look determined to get to your feet.
Should also make the audience aware that that's a remote control. While holding in
You
the-
don't need to make them aware of that. They're perfectly aware of it. No, it's alright.
I just find it weird when we had actual phones from that
Well,
era.
we don't want to make it too easy on the audience to love the film.
We want people like Carl to spot some mistakes.
Gotta give the punters something to complain about.
I do wish a little bit this had been standing up now, but
Why wasn't it?
I
Surely if you wanted it at the time, you should have just said.
think I did, but
Why did he refuse?
yeah, but
He did.
my speed flashback. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Oh, they've used the fingerprint off the glass and planted it on the gun.
Who would have thought about that?
Little
Scottish.
did they know, they wouldn't even need the setup. But that they did.
This is why I love this version.
It's 'cause-
This scene, this sequence.
and you hear the gunshot, and this is what's happening in the meantime. And if you listen carefully, I believe you can hear the gunshot in the first scene. But of course, by that point, you don't know what it is. You probably wouldn't hear it
No.
unless you go back and watch it again, which you should do.
Remember this being quite inspired.
Yeah, it was sort of all like
It was
how can
for
we
a
tie
reason
this
for
in?
why it's
Yeah, it was like,
locked.
so then if you watch it back, it's like that's why Sean can't get into the room. But But yeah, like I say, with the planting the print on the gun, that's because they didn't know at the
It's
time.
already falling outside.
They didn't know at the time that we were going to find the gun and shoot them again anyway.
Yeah.
So we were trying to set it up for that one shot you already had, but it just sort of worked in their favour that we were imbeciles and shot them again. I love this, how this ties in. You hear me fall into the room. She sets the alarm, which you hear earlier. And there I am.
Yeah,
I remember
it's good timing.
watching the original, which was like a year before we shot this, I think, or something. And sort of, even down to how fast and which foot I came down. Which, given if we'd done it from the start, we'd probably just shoot it multi-camera.
Yeah.
Now you understand, Sean, that I've struggled to justify raising your fee. If anything, I'm thinking that perhaps a reduction is in order by perhaps, say, half. That sounds fair.
He's a very
That's up. You've got
blunt
5 minutes
villain.
to get the job to the docks.
Says what he
That's not
wants,
wasting time, eh, Sean?
doesn't mess about, doesn't add any character to it.
How do you mean?
Well, you know, it's just like, this is what I want, do it, otherwise you're screwed. Like,
It just says something.
we all had a phone like that once.
Did you?
No, I had one similar, but not quite as big.
I think Natalie did well with this, actually.
Yeah, she did. She suits it.
I'm proud of that
This
part.
is sort of sowing the idea here that, you know, Reginald is just screwing everyone over, even the people who have been helping him, like Sophia. So that's what prompts her to offer her assistance to these guys, which kind of makes the kind of the ending where they kind of pull one over on him kind of more plausible with her resources. Because I don't think these two are clever enough on their own.
And a bit more satisfying, to be honest. Because, again, that was a problem with the original, wasn't it? Just, it wasn't really tied up properly.
Oh, Freddie. You really want.
All he wanted was that yacht.
I got the feeling you just sort of, your character just is working until you get those things, whereas I'm more of a career criminal.
Sees it as a genuine career.
Yeah, like
choice.
I my character will just keep doing it, and he'll have another apprentice after you probably. Can't believe his luck. A girl's spoken to him. Have they gone to Dover or something?
I don't know, we kind of like the idea of creating this illusion of them being at the docks.
So I like the idea that the events that followed this, and you can kind of will explain it as the pictures come over the credits, but the idea that they kind of, part of their escape is to go across the channel, and then the story would carry on in Paris and, you know, take on a kind of Parisian flair. I like the kind of the scaffolding works well, sort of a dockyard kind of.
It's very similar to the original shot, pretty much.
Lucky it was still there in a way.
Yeah. Although, I think he's got an LED torch. I don't know if they had those in 1999. Doesn't really matter. Minor detail. Something for the trivia.
Oh, she sneaks away.
This shot, I love that shot.
Look at her silhouette. Carl Becker, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, they've got the diamond, whatever it is. Is it diamond? The Heart of Marianne.
Heart of Marianne.
Dada. Oh, the police have arrived. He's been screwed over.
Made the colours look quite tasty there, really.
Sort of, he's got bitterness written all over him.
What is it, what?
Well, let's just say,
Spain.
let's just say is a phrase overused.
It's quite handy that your car was stuck on that at the time.
Yeah, well, I think it was because we disconnected the battery or something, so it just reset back to that time. And I remember when we filmed it so they look at the clock and they realise it, and I thought it was a bit implausible that they would look at it immediately on that hour. And so I said, well, it's easy. We add a sound as if it's just turned midnight. And that's why they look at the clock. But for some reason, we didn't think that from the start. We just thought they would look at the clock and it would be bang on.
Yeah. I forget we're not in the car at the same time while filming this.
Yeah, we were doing the lighting effects, weren't we? With the umbrella on the... to
The old-
simulate movement.
The old freeze frame ending.
I love that. What a charming little film. Recipe for making a rather large Gateau. So let's talk through these pictures here.
Okay.
So, there's me on the ferry on the way, and then the various other exploits. He's gone to Vegas with his money, and
Freddie on the ferry. He's gone somewhere else.
Freddie's got a look on his face of, should you really be taking photos of me? Please snail fashion ponce. There he is.
Stand off.
The obituary in the paper of Carl. I think we did write it in full.
Oh, these don't get pictures anymore, do they?
No. Late editions, didn't have time.
Kind of cool though, like the movement.
Now they're in, I think, Amsterdam or something.
Or Bruges, I don't know.
Belgium. I think that one might have been Amsterdam. Just looking out of a window. I must have been on the lake or on the river. Now...
It reaches a weird level here that...
On safari?
Okay.
What about?
But who rides
Who took the picture?
elephant?
Freddie,
Bareback.
from Another Elephant, took the picture. Thank you to The Measure and Joe.
And Pro Scores.
They'll be listening, but...
Hopefully this will be correct credits at the end by the time
we're watching an incorrect version, but you won't know that. Look at all these brilliant songs. Shame in a way, we've just kind of used up the entire album on one film.
It makes that album almost seem like the Gateau soundtrack.
Yeah, it's the soundtrack now, and we need to find another band to fleece for the next one. Daniel North. His input as executive producer can't be underestimated.
This is the first time we ever put notices like this at the end of a film, isn't it?
Is it a legal requirement? I don't know if it is or not, but I still believe in doing it.
Yeah, that's right, Tim.
It's like, we may smoke, but we don't condone it.
We don't actually smoke in real life.
I found it horrible doing that scene when I did, because it just went straight to my lungs. I felt like after one I was going to die.
Where are they here?
I think maybe the Swiss Alps, I don't know. It's taking flash
Freddie
photography.
seems drunk almost. I wonder.
Wearing an oversized coat.
We're introducing the film again here.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you for listening. It's been a good time. See you later.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah.
Sweet, it's genius now. Do you want to do commentary for this?
Yeah, do you want to do another one on Gateau? In Exits this time.